Let's break it down with an NPFL enthusiast and one who follows the league closely, Robert Olimene. Thank you so much, Robert, for joining us on the show at this time.
Good morning to you. It's good to be back on the program.
It's great to have you back again. We're still talking Nigeria Premier Football League. No more complaints, but the result at this time, we've got mixed emotions about this result. I'll start off with Kano Pillars. They mounted a remarkable comeback against Lobi Stars for the match day. But what do you think? What do you think this says about their fighting spirit and how vital is Rabiu Ali to their campaign for this season?
I think Kano Pillars' fighting spirit is something that is admirable, looking at what they were able to do, most especially yesterday. I followed the game up until when Kano Pillars were down by 2 goals to nothing, and I concluded that it was more or less over for Say Mesungide, as they are called, only for me to check the full-time score, and of course I found out that they were able to more or less restore parity in that particular one. And of course, the hot topic yesterday was the fact that Rabiu Ali scored a scorcher of a free kick. I saw the video of the free kick he scored, and I was just talking to myself that this man is what we are talking about. At 40 plus in age, he is still getting the business done. And of course, he's still leading his men by example. And looking at the amount of free kicks he has scored this season, he has scored 4 free kicks out of the 8 goals in total that he has in this season. So it tells you a whole lot about his personality. It tells you a whole lot about Kano Pillars as a team. And of course, it tells you about how competitive the NPFL is this season.
I did say that when we heard that ex-internationals were joining up to be coaches in this league this season and we could see some return of star players, I knew the NPFL was going to be serving a hot season for the 2024-2025 season. Let's talk Bendel Insurance this time. Bendel Insurance bounced back with a big win with Monday Odiege's departure. They say when a coach leaves a team, that's when the team will, resurrect. They will just, they'll just play a beautiful football and be wondering, what is the problem? Has the coach been the problem all the while? Robert, how do you see this team evolving under new leadership? And what challenges you think will await them in the future going forward?
Let me start with the challenges that possibly await Bendel Insurance going on in the future. I think looking at the log right now, they are rooted to the bottom. Despite the fact that they got all 3 points yesterday. I think that is majorly the challenge that Bendel Insurance faces this season. Let's not forget that last time out when they played Kano Pillars, they had crowd troubles, which eventually led to the deduction of 3 points from the Benin Arsenal, as they're called, and that is more or less what is responsible for their current woes. So it's going to take a whole lot from them playing the best football that they can play, or like we say to football, playing like men possessed, to be able to change address that is from the bottom of the log to somewhere down the middle, and of course escape relegation this particular season. So there's a whole lot, and of course for the team playing for the first time in a long time without Monday Odigie, I think it's a different atmosphere with the team. Last time out when Bendel Insurance were doing Ikene, I was in for that game, and of course I saw the coach brimming with smiles when he exchanged their pleasantries with Coach Daniel Umodede. So to see the team move forward right now without a notable face, a notable character, calling the Jose Mourinho of Nigerian football, I think it's a different road entirely for Bendel Insurance. But I believe that they will survive, and of course, let's see how things pan out for them in the coming weeks.
But that challenge you just pointed out, I'm hoping that the new leadership will be able to take that to note. Kanemi Warriors, they have quietly risen to 3rd place. If we can have the standings right now, you would see that little push in the current standing of the Nigeria Premier Football League. So this is after their victory against Akwa United, of course. I'm wondering what's really happening to Akwa United. Robert, do you think they have what it takes to sustain this momentum, to remain at this position before the season ends, or even go atop it, not going downwards, but going upwards into the 1st or 2nd position?
I think for Kanemi Warriors, I've seen them play this season. And I would say that they are a very good side. They are a well-drilled side, and they are a side who love to put the ball on the ground. They love shots, and of course, a quick interchange of passes, and they love to run. Their mobility is one of the best, and of course, they have very good transition when it comes to playing in the league. For the team, do they have what it takes to sustain their push? I think the second half of the season will give us a clearer picture of what of how things will go for all the teams pushing, that is for the title as it is, or for continental slots, that is talking about the second half of the season. But so far so good. Kanemi Warriors have done so well for themselves, and of course they are one side who have been able to hold their own amidst the big boys in the league going forward. I saw Coach Ali Zubiru against Shooting Stars Sports Club, and of course at that game they lost, in which Shooting Stars ended their unbeaten run. And the coach they will bounce back. That is talking about the next fixture, which was supposed to be a home game for them, and indeed they did so. So for Kanemi Warriors, they have what it takes. But I believe that the season is a long run, and a whole lot of dynamics can change to either push them forward or more or less drop them on the log.
Drop on the third position that they occupy at the moment in the Nigeria Premier Football League standings. Now, Robert, I'm always concerned about big games ending in a goalless draw. No. I do not have to pay tickets and then go to watch a big game, and I see that both sides will go defensively strong and not allow the ball to get past that goal line. But that goalless draw against for the game in the Oriental Derby and the Niger Tornadoes against Ikorodu City, do you think that teams right now in the NPFL, they are prioritizing defense over attack, or is it more about missed opportunities from both sides?
I would say it's more or less a case of missed opportunities. I will not say teams are prioritizing defense over attack, because the most important thing in football is trying to put the ball into the back of the net, or putting the ball into the back of the net. And the only way you can do that is to convert your chances. And in cases where those chances are not converted, you more or less ensure as well that your own defense is not breached going forward, albeit trying to get a point that is away from that particular contest. In the case of Ikorodu City, I would tip them as one of the sides with an enviable or a commendable away record. And of course, this is one team who are not shy to play away from home. That's the loss. That was their first game of the season against Kano Pillars, as somehow been able to serve as a very, very important lesson to the Oga Boys, as they are called, going forward. And if you look at the kind of teams they have played so far in the league, most especially in the first half of this league, they've been able to hold their own, and that is very, very commendably as it is. So for the game against the Niger Tornadoes yesterday, before the game, I think down somewhere in my mind, I believe that they were going to get a positive result, and they ended up doing so at the end of 90 minutes. So I think it's a commendable one for them. And of course, if you're looking at where they are on the log, this was a team that the first 7-8 match days of the season, they were somewhere around the relegation zone, and right now they have risen as far as 7th on log. With 2 home games to come, I believe that they will do justice to those games and to more or less push the agenda and, of course, stay clear of relegation troubles.
Can tell these teams that they have to score. We can have big games without seeing goals pouring. We don't want to see stalemate all the time when big teams play, especially an Oriental Derby. Come on now. Enugu Rangers and Hatland, just got us some slack. Let's see goals. But Robert, before I let you go quickly, looking at the bottom 6 of the Nigeria Premier Football League standing at this time, who do you think will get the whole saving grace and leave this bottom 6 anytime soon?
I think this is a difficult one to call, but if I'm going by the pedigree of the teams here in the bottom 6, I would pick Plateau United to more or less escape the drop. I would pick possibly Lobi Stars, looking at their current form, and I would possibly pick between Bendel Insurance and Katsina United. Katsina United. But I think I'll go for Bendel Insurance. So the three team pick is Lobi Stars, Akwa United, and the Shots.
United. Nasarawa United, remember that they just made their way to the top flight, and I was hoping that to see something better. Why Akwa United? What's really happening to them? We never thought that they would still remain at the bottom this season. They nearly escaped relegation last season, and at this time you'll be hoping that they'll do better, but we're seeing them going down the drain.
I think for Akwa United, it's more or less like one of the teams you hope will do better. But when you see them up close and personal, you are disappointed with how their season is unfolding in front of them. For instance, the game they played yesterday against Kanemi Warriors that they lost, I happened to stumble upon the penalty that was awarded to Kanemi Warriors. I was asking myself, what was that defender in particular thinking about that led to that awarded to Kanemi Warriors? The first tackle, he missed it. The second tackle, while the United defender was on the ground, he was busy kicking the foot of the Kanemi Warriors players. That is it right there on your screen. And the referee had no choice but to point to the penalty spot as it is. And of course, the Akwa United players were there, busy arguing with the referee, in which I believe was the right call made by the man in the center. So, for a team battling relegation, you expect that the players, when they go for a game like this, which is winnable for them, or a game which they can get a point away from, you expect that they should do better, give a very good account of themselves, and of course, keep things as tight as the back, as tight as possible at the back, and of course, maintain their discipline, because it is more or less carelessness on the part of that defender that costs them this match as it is. So for Akwa United, it's so disappointing. Like you said, they escaped relegation by the skin of their teeth last season. I am not sure if they will be that easy.
Right now, it's not on pitch; it is off the pitch. I'm hoping that the management, the board, especially for those of Akwa United, they can nip this in the board. But it'll be a good thing. They will be welcomed with open arms in the NNL. Thank you so much, Robert Olimene, for joining us on this conversation today, talking about the Nigeria Premier Football League.